What's up, everybody? Scott Lennar back here with you with my dad today. Nothing much happened this week. Just one thing happened this week. The Tampa Bay Lightning are once again Stanley Cup champions for the second time in franchise history.
Woo!
Absolutely.
The Stanley Cup has come home.
Finally.
Woo! Go Bolts!
Oh, man. What a run. So let's get into our college football and NFL predictions for the weekend. First up, Louisiana Tech and BYU tonight at 9 o'clock on ESPN right after Game 1 of the WNBA Finals. I'll take BYU to get it done over Louisiana Tech tonight in Provo.
I agree with Scott. I think it's a 22-point spread. I think it's a little too much. 24. Thank you, Scott, for correcting me. 24-point spread. I think that's too much, but I do think BYU will win the game.
Next up, South Carolina coming in 0-1 into the Swamp to take on number 3 Florida. First time Florida's been in the top 4 in a pretty long time. I'll take Florida to keep it going. They looked excellent last weekend. I'll take Florida to get it going at home this week against South Carolina.
I think Kyle Trask continues on his Heisman bid this season and continues to light up SEC defenses. Florida wins big against South Carolina.
Next up, Tulsa in Central Florida here in the Bounce House tomorrow night. Looking for a preview game going into next week as we head to Memphis next weekend to face Memphis next weekend. Probably one of our biggest games of the year next weekend. So we're just looking for a tune-up this week. One word in this game, that is revenge. Tulsa beat us last year at Tulsa. I don't think it happens this year. Give me UCF to get it done, and I think we'll cover the 21-point spread this week. I'll take UCF to get it done over Tulsa.
I agree. We have revenge on our minds. My biggest concern is the weather forecast, which may call for rain. Could cause it to be difficult to score high numbers. So I don't know if we'll cover the 21-point spread, but I do think we'll win.
Next up, TCU in Texas. Texas coming off a nail-biter last week against Texas Tech. Give me Texas to get it done at home this week. I think Texas should be a very good team again this year. I'll take Texas at home against TCU.
I agree. I think it'll be a close game, but I think Texas will win.
Next up, Missouri and Tennessee. Tennessee barely beat South Carolina last weekend. And I believe Missouri, can't remember who they lost to last week. Alabama, yeah. I'll take Tennessee to get it done again. Tennessee's just a better of these two mediocre teams in the SEC, so I'll take Tennessee to get it done over Missouri.
I also like Tennessee in a close one. I don't think you can tell much from week 1 just because Alabama is such a tough competition, but I do like Tennessee in this one.
Next up, NC State and Pitt. Pitt coming off a big win last week against Louisville, so I'll take Pitt to go to 4-0 on the season and get a win at home against NC State.
Pitt has really turned the program around the last couple of years. They're looking much better than they have, say, the 5 years previous to that. I also will take Pitt.
Next up, one of the two big games in the SEC this weekend is going to be number 13 Texas A&M heading into Tuscaloosa to take on number 2 Alabama. Give me Alabama to get a win here at home. I think Alabama's just too good of a team right now to lose to Texas A&M, so I'll take Alabama at home over Texas A&M.
It's going to be an interesting game. We really haven't seen Texas A&M play anybody. The Gators have Texas A&M later in the year on the road, so I'll be very interested in this one, but I agree. I think Alabama's got too much talent.
Next up, North Carolina and Boston College. North Carolina hasn't played since that little scare that they had a couple weeks ago. I'll take North Carolina to get it done on the road this week against Boston College.
Crikey, that's like 10 in a row we've agreed on. I agree as well. I think that North Carolina is going to get the win.
Next up, South Florida and Cincinnati. No problem here. I'll enjoy watching every single second of this butt whooping on Saturday. Give me Cincinnati to get it done against South Florida.
I agree. Maybe one of the top 2 teams in the conference against one of the bottom 2 teams in the conference. Big win for Cincinnati.
Next up, Oklahoma State, who looked much better last weekend after that really bad game they had 2 weeks ago as they head into Lawrence to take on Les Miles of Kansas. Give me Oklahoma State to get the win. I think Mike Gundy's going to find a way to get a win here over Les Miles and Kansas.
Again, I agree with Scott. Oklahoma State's going to be Kansas, much superior football program.
Next up, Memphis and SMU, two very good teams in the American. Give me Memphis to pull off a slight upset on the road against SMU. I think Memphis knows that they got UCF coming into town next week. They want to stay undefeated going into that game, and I think they do just that. Give me Memphis in a slight upset against SMU.
I'm going to go the other way. I think Memphis is going to be looking past SMU to UCF, their biggest rival in the AAC. They're going to take SMU too lightly, and SMU is going to get a win at home.
Next up, Mississippi State and Arkansas. Arkansas looked okay in the first half last weekend and then absolutely plummeted after the first half against Georgia last week. They had to take on Mississippi State, who looked very good last weekend under new head coach Mike Leach. I'll take Mississippi State to get the win here at home against Arkansas.
Also, Mississippi State is an offensive juggernaut. They may be one of the better teams in the SEC West. I think they're better than LSU at this point. I'm going to take Mississippi State as well.
Next up, Oklahoma and Iowa State. Oklahoma looking to rebound after losing to Kansas State for the second straight year, as they head into Ames, Iowa to take on Iowa State. And if you ask any Oklahoma fan, it is virtually impossible to get a win in Ames on a Saturday night. I don't think that's the reason here. Give me Oklahoma to get a win over Iowa State.
I'm going the other way. I'm going to pick the upset. I think Oklahoma's reeling from their loss last week. It is tough to play in Ames. I think Iowa State wins narrowly in this one.
Next up, LSU and Vandy. Vandy almost pulled off an upset last week over, can't remember who they played last week, but they take on LSU, who lost last week. I'll take LSU to get back on track. I think Coach O will have his boys ready to go this week. Give me LSU to get a win over Vandy.
You know, this is a tough game to pick. You got Vandy, who exceeded expectations last week. You got LSU, who went below expectations. I still think LSU has better athletes. I want to take LSU.
Next up, Virginia and Clemson. 28.5-point favorites are Clemson in this week. In this game, this was last year's Virginia team. I think I was maybe thinking Virginia would hang in there a little bit, but not this year. I'll take Clemson to get it done against Virginia.
I agree. Clemson's just too talented to get the win.
Next up, the College Game Day game of the week. College Game Day will be there tomorrow morning, bright and early, 9 a.m. As it'll be number 7 Auburn heading into Athens to take on number 4 Georgia. I might get this pick wrong, but just based on what I saw last week, I'm going to go with Auburn to pull off the road upset to get it done against a Georgia offense I didn't see much good out of last week. I'll take Auburn to pull off the slight upset against Georgia.
That wouldn't surprise me, but I think Georgia being at home, they didn't play up to their capabilities last week. I think they're going to be much more ready this week. I think they win a very close one against Auburn at home.
Next up, into the NFL games for the weekend. First game out 1 o'clock on CBS. I probably won't be able to watch this game because they got friggin' Jags and Bengals on Sunday.
That's a quality game.
God. There will be Justin Herbert and the Chargers, potentially Justin Herbert this week. We don't know if Tyrod Taylor will be ready to go on Sunday as they head in to take on Tom Brady and the Bucs. Brady will be without 2 of his big weapons this weekend. Godwin and Fournette both out. I don't think it's going to matter. I think it's going to be all about the quick scat back of Scotty Miller this week. I think Scotty Miller will make some plays this week. Look for the screen game to get a lot of usage this week because they're only going to rush 4 going into Brady. So I'm going to take the Bucs to get it done at home against the Chargers.
I think with the injuries, this game's going to be closer than a lot of people think. The Bucs are just not as good without all their weapons, but I do think the Bucs will win, but in a fairly close one at home.
Do they cover the spread?
What is the spread, Scott?
7.
I don't think so.
I think they do barely. I got us winning by like 10 points on Sunday, so I think I got us covering. Next up, the Colts and the Bears. 2 teams that are doing pretty well so far. The Colts have rebounded after that Week 1 loss to Jacksonville, and the Bears are 3-0 after beating 3 teams that are not very good in the NFL so far. I'm going to take the Colts on the road to get a road win over Nick Foles and the Bears.
Man, I picked against the Bears almost every week, and I've been wrong. I'm going to take the Bears to get the win this week. They've made me at least somewhat of a believer.
Speaking of Jackson Bengals, that game's next. I don't know which one of these mediocre teams I want to pick here. Give me the Jags. I think Minshew will play better than he did last Thursday against the Dolphins. So give me Gardner Minshew and the returning DJ Chark to get it done this week. I'll take the Jags on the road against the Bengals.
I'm going to go the other way. I think the Bengals are going to get their first win of the year. I think Joe Burrow is going to just light it up, and I think he's going to outplay Minshew, and I think the Cincinnati Bengals get the win.
Next up, Baker Mayfield and the Browns heading into Dallas to take on Dak and the Cowboys. Give me the Cowboys to rebound. They looked really good last week in the loss to Seattle. So I'll take the Cowboys to get it done against the Browns.
Cowboys have had a tough early season schedule. I think they're better than the record demonstrates, and I think they will beat the Browns fairly handily.
Next up in the battle of 1-2 teams, there will be Drew Brees and the Saints heading into Detroit to take on Matt Stafford and the Lions. A lot of injuries for the Saints this week. 3 of their starters are out, but I don't think it's going to matter this week. I think Drew Brees looked much better than he did. Probably played his best game I've seen him play all season last Sunday against the Packers on Sunday night. So I'll take the Saints on the road to get it done against the Lions.
I'm struggling with this one because I think New Orleans has really been overrated this year, especially given their injuries. But I don't think the Lions are that good, so I'm going to take the Saints in a close one.
Next up, the Seahawks and the Dolphins. Probably one of the highest scoring games of the weekend. I think Russell Wilson will just destroy this defense again. Give me Russ and the Seahawks to get it done against the Dolphins.
I agree. Although the Dolphins play good teams tough, they played the Bills tough. Then they go on and blow out the Jaguars. Not that they're good, but I think the Seattle will win, but it'll be like a come from behind kind of win with Russell Wilson leading them down the field.
Next up in the biggest light of the weekend is it will be the Lamar Jackson and the Ravens looking to rebound after that Monday night loss to the Chiefs as they head into Maryland to take on the Washington football team. 14 points are the favorite here for the Ravens. I will take the Ravens on the road in Washington to get it done against the Washington football team on Sunday.
I think the Ravens were pretty stung in that loss. I think they're pretty angry. They're going to come out with a lot of energy, and they're going to take care of the Washington football team. Give me the Ravens.
Next up, Cardinals and Panthers. Pretty good matchup on Sunday. I'll take Kyler Murray and the Cardinals to rebound after that last-second loss last week to the Lions. I'll take Kyler Murray and the Cardinals to rebound and defeat the Panthers on Sunday.
Panthers are a tough team to figure out.
Yeah.
But I think the Cardinals are a little bit better, so I like the Cardinals in this one.
Next up in the battle of 2-0-3s is it'll be Deshaun Watson and the Texans heading in, hosting Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. I think the Vikings looked better last week than the Texans did, so I'll take Dalvin Cook, who played pretty well last weekend. I'll take Dalvin Cook and the Vikings to get it done on the road against Deshaun Watson and the Texans.
If you told me at the beginning of the season that both teams would be 0-3 at this point, I'd be shocked. I think people had much higher expectations for both teams. But I'm going to take the Texans in this one. I think the Vikings really are not a very good football team. I'm going to take the Texans.
If you told me the Texans would be 0-3, I wouldn't be too surprised by that. But Minnesota...
But both teams?
Yeah, no. Minnesota, I'm surprised.
Yes.
A lot of people thought they would be winning the division this year.
Exactly.
Next up, Danny Dimes and the Giants heading into L.A. to take on Jared Goff and the Rams. Another surprising team this year. I didn't expect this team to be 2-1. I'll take the Rams to get it done at home over Daniel Jones and the Giants.
And the two New York teams are just pitiful this year. And I think the Giants, unfortunately, get blown out by the Rams.
Next up, the CBS game of the week is it'll be Cam Newton and the New England Patriots heading into Arrowhead to take on Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. I don't know why this game's not Sunday Night Football this week. I'll take the Chiefs at home to get it done against Cam and the Patriots.
Patriots are going to play pretty much everyone tough. They're well coached, but the Chiefs just have too much talent. I think the Chiefs get up for games like this, like the Patriots. The Chiefs
Next up, the Buffalo Bills, who are 3-0, heading into Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. Josh Allen's been absolutely unbelievable all season long. I think he'll continue his MVP caliber performances. Give me the Bills on the road in Las Vegas to give the Raiders their first loss in Vegas against the Raiders.
I'm gonna pick the upset here. I think Vegas actually gets the win. I think they play pretty well at home the first time around. I think they get the Bills in this one.
Next up, the Philadelphia Eagles, who are 0-2-1 after that tie last weekend with Cincinnati, as they head into San Francisco to take on Nick Mullins and the San Francisco 49ers. Still
Nick
big.
who?
Yeah, exactly. He actually played pretty well last weekend against the Giants.
He did.
Give me the Niners at home to get it done against the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean the obviously the 49ers are reeling with all their injuries, but they're still a better team. Give me the 49ers.
Next up, Monday Night Football, probably the highest scoring game of the weekend, as it'll be Matty Ice and the Falcons heading into Green Bay to take on Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. A lot of people are questionable for this game. Devontae Adams might not play. Julio Jones might not play. Calvin Ridley might not play. In my opinion, I think all three guys go this week. Give me Aaron Rodgers and the Packers to get it done against Atlanta. They can score. They just can't stop anybody. That's been the big problem for Atlanta. Give me the Packers to get it done against the Falcons.
The Packers have been a pleasant surprise. I think Aaron Rodgers got tired of people writing him off, and so he's come back with a vengeance. Give me the Packers as well.
And that will do it for this episode of Scott's Weekly Sports Today, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be back next week on Friday to get another season prediction in, and hopefully the Rays will be moving on by then. We got to play the New York Yankees on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So maybe Friday as well. So we'll see what happens. And I will see you guys right back here next week on Scott's Weekly Sports. See you later, guys.
See you guys.